Thanks for coming on in. And before we get going into like explaining like how you and I know each other, can you tell me what you're drinking with me this evening?
I'm drinking alkaline water.
So am I going to be the only one who actually opens the?
No, can I pour up my cup? Can we start
Yes.
over?
Yes,
I
we
want
can
to
start
drink
over.
with you.
That was the
I
whole
literally,
purpose.
I literally forgot, and so hold
Well,
on.
just run to your kitchen and grab something. Okay, guys. Well, as Chelsea goes away, um, I'll tell you guys what I'm drinking today. I've decided to get some bubbles in celebration because Bar Talk is back and I have missed everyone. And to be honest, I mean, I've done drinking, don't get me wrong, during this time, but I haven't done as much. So we're going to open some bubbles and I'm nervous because I haven't done that. I haven't opened up a bottle of champagne in a while, so I'm really nervous right now. I'm doing this all I'm doing this all wrong. Okay, wait. Just a little wait, it's almost there. Almost. Wait.
Oh,
I think there we go.
yes.
All right. Oh my god, I just got cork all over my hand. Okay, so
Sauvignon Blanc.
yes. Love it. Why? This is the worst part about this. I should have just put it in a regular. Like I know. I want a whole thing of prosecco to the top. To the top. A little bit more. Okay. All right. I'm gonna put that whole bottle down. I'll finish that later. But darling, cheers!
Hey, girl.
I'm so excited. So for everyone who will be eventually listening on in, I do want you to comment on a post and tell us what you are drinking along with us. If it's water, if it's coffee, whatever it is, I'm fine with that. Okay, so why don't we explain to everyone how we know each other? Do you want me to do that or do you want to kind of explain?
I'd love to hear how we first met from you.
Okay, so we were 13. Um, you were, I believe you were like my first peppering partner at Lions.
Mhm.
So Chelsea and I played club volleyball together. We were 13 years old. We were the two city folks on a team full of suburbanites. And so you and I feel like just like already had a bond because of that. And then we played together until we were like almost 17 and but like we're always around each other, I
I
feel like.
count I count up until 18 because it wasn't like we were like I was in a different building and you were all
Yeah.
the way over there. Like we saw each other all the time, and if we had like private lessons or anything, we were definitely around each other too.
Always. I was your setter and you were my middle. So we made quite a dynamic duo.
Yes, we always had to be connected, and that's something that was really hard to do, was to really have that connection with your setter to get those quick sets. But we had it, girl.
We did. And you know what's funny is like I remember our 16s year, we had a really odd rotation where we had four outside hitters and the setter and the middle were opposite of each other. So anyone who understands volleyball like rotation will understand what I'm trying to communicate right now. But you and I were the team, and I just remember like I couldn't set Katie to save my soul, but I could set you like with my eyes closed, and it just like worked that way.
That's what I'm saying. Like there was a connection with us as setter and middle that I didn't have with every other setter. That's
Oh,
for that's for sure.
oh, I love that. All right, I'm gonna drink to that because that just made me really happy.
I'm a drink
Okay.
too.
Yes. Okay, so I thought of you right away when I was trying to figure out how I wanted to come back with bar talk, and it was actually like Mama Kath who initiated the conversation, and she said to me, kind of in the beginning of June when tensions were really high in our country, and we're all having conversations right now that I think none of us thought we ever would have. And my mom said to me, Jenna, did you think you were a good teammate? And I kind of was like, I looked at her and I was like, what are you talking about? And she goes, well, you've been teammates with Black girls, with girls of all different, race and ethnicity. do you think you were a good teammate? And I was like, if you were to ask younger Jenna, if you were to ask me that question when I started to when I finished, I think the answer would have been yes. But asking 27-year-old Jenna, I don't know if the answer is still yes, because to me, the subject and what you're asking now, I think is, it's more layered. There's more, like onions to peel back, so to speak. So, you played club for Lions where you were pretty much the only Black girl. And we also realized that you were probably a lot of people's first Black friend. Was that something that you just like always noticed, being in the room where you were the only person that looked like you?
I feel like that wasn't my first situation where I was the only Black person within a team or within a group of girls. Growing up, my mom put me in all kinds of sports activities, and most times they were like in the suburbs. And so I have been acclimated to that since I was like little, since I was like, I don't know, preschool age, that I had just been around people that didn't look like me. So I was having to adapt to that kind of environment from like I said, preschool. So that's like 3, 2. So when I got to first Lions, I was kind of already used to being in that environment, and it wasn't something totally foreign. I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, like how do I adjust? How do I talk to these people? Because I had grown up around a lot of white people, a lot of people of different races since I was little. So it wasn't really that foreign to me. Now, I don't know about the rest of the girls, but yeah, like for myself, I was kind of used to rocking alone by myself or with my sister or with like our cousins who would do those programs with us.
So even as a kid, though, you recall that encounter, like that first time where, you said like you were 3 years old. So do you remember being 3 and kind of, being like, oh, no one looks like me? Like, was that just something that it was there, or did it bother you?
I don't remember being bothered because we were so little that we're just like, yay, like a friend. Obviously, I noticed that they didn't really look like me, but it wasn't as tense as it could have been once you have more of an understanding of the world. And that could have been true because when we met, we were in middle school. So I definitely had more of an understanding of the world. People in middle school are, they can be tough, they can be mean. But yeah, I don't think that when I was 3, when I was going through that, I really was like, oh my gosh, I'm, probably because obviously I look different and I come from a different family and environment, but I think I just fell into the groove, and that's kind of how I went about my days and up until I got to Lions. So it was pretty normal for me to acclimate into or get acquainted with people easily because I have been doing it pretty much my whole life. Okay. And finding common ground with those girls was easy. And I'm glad that I had the experience of being accustomed to different people from a young age because it definitely helped me once I got to,
I will definitely echo that. So you had said something in your last thing that kind of honestly went into my next question. And so I was curious, like, we're at this point right now in society where we're like relearning things that like we're kind of, I don't want to say call people out, but it's like, it's learning your ignorance and it's addressing your ignorance now. So during the time that you played, was there ever a comment or a remark that like a teammate or a coach made that maybe they didn't even realize was being rude to you?
I would say nothing comes to mind from the coaches per se. Um, but you know what? It's like I was talking to my mom about this. I was like, maybe I was just internalizing all of it. I feel like I have been up until this racial awakening, and then I've had to come to terms with everything that I've experienced in my life. But the negative experiences during that time of my life were few and, far between. But I do recall some of the players just kind of being ignorant um, about somebody, from the city. They would sort of do like backhanded compliments towards like Black people. Like, you're not one of those, or you're not from the ghetto, Chelsea. Like, I definitely heard that a few times as if it were a compliment, and it was just like an awkward okay, like
It's like, yeah, what am I supposed to say? Oh, wow, thank you.
yeah, I didn't know how to respond because nobody had ever said that to me. So I was like, okay. And I do remember one instance where I guess like somebody's parent was dropping us all off at home, and we were getting to my house, and we were going down 79th because I live on the south side. And this one girl was like freaking out in the back seat of the car, like on the way up. She was like petrified. I'm like, what are you scared about? Like, but she has never been to, like, everybody thinks that, well, at that time, everybody thought the city was like downtown Chicago, like the lake, like everything is just the Bean. I don't even think the Bean was there, but Michigan Avenue.
I don't think it was there yet either, but I get what you're saying. Yes.
The Sears Tower. People ask me, I want to go to your house because you live downtown. And I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah. So, trying to explain to people the difference of, like the city and, because like everyone's like, where you live? And I'm like, well, I'm in Bridgeport, and I'm 10, 15 minutes from downtown. So people were like, but you're not from the city. And I'm like, no, I am from the city. Like, the city is made up of a bunch of neighborhoods, people. Like, do your homework. Like, it's more than just River North and the Gold Coast, I promise. Yeah, no, but Chelsea, that's so interesting about someone giving you a ride home. So do you think that like that girl just had never been in an area that was like Black, I guess?
I guess not, because she was like having a panic attack. And it was so bizarre to me, and definitely made me feel like a sort of way. I'm like, well, I see this all the time. Like, I'm used to it. And it was just, I had never experienced that before, being with somebody that was literally super afraid of, Black neighborhoods. And then as I got into high school, I saw that more. People used to say, about the South Side, they were like, it's so ugly, like it's all factories, like, and I'm just like, okay, Northsiders.
Yeah. So when you got home after being dropped off, did you like say anything to like your parents?
No, I think a lot of those times I just internalized that stuff, and I was like, that was weird. Or that, like, I never said anything. And when I was talking about this with my mom after, everything that went on early this summer, I was like, yeah, I don't think that I mentioned a lot of this stuff, because it was just like, you don't want to feel like you're different, because you're different, but it's just easier just to kind of let things go, so that you don't have to constantly be aware of that.
Did you ever have a conversation with that girl ever again about like did she ever say anything to you? Was it ever addressed, or was it just like it was said and like that was it?
It was never addressed. I definitely didn't bring it up. I was uncomfortable.
So if
she was uncomfortable, and she was making me uncomfortable.
So yeah, I mean, if you could say something to her now to maybe, just educate her on the ignorance of her comment, what would you want to say to her?
That, Black people are friendly. We are just like everybody else. And if you're in the neighborhood that's all Black, like, you're okay. Nobody's going to come and get you.
No. I do want to bring up a story that you and I shared that I didn't even remember until my mom reminded me. And when I talked to you about it, I think it got you hot and bothered. So I apologize for getting you hot and bothered, but I do think it's an important story to share. At the time I was living in the shadows of Comiskey Park, and I wanted to have like a team sleepover. So all the girls came, we went to a Sox game. And I think where my house was, we walked like not even down the block to the like corner store to get like, I don't know, like ding dongs and ho-hos or like just something like silly. And we had a teammate say to you, Chelsea, do you feel safe here? And now this is my mom telling me this story because I don't remember it, but my mom said, Jenna, you were so mad. Like you were so mad at it because, and I was like, Mom, I don't remember that. But, after you and I talked about it and you were like, I do remember it. So, from your perspective or point of view on that story, how did you feel when, that teammate said that to you?
I probably felt just like I did when the other girl was freaking out in the car. Like there's something about me or maybe people that look like me that is super terrifying to these people. And I didn't really understand why.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I know people that are afraid of people that look like you. So it's like, what is this?
It's almost like, and I think it goes back to, and maybe this is an even broader subject or issue, but for the longest time, you and I both being Southsiders, like people, I mean, I have had people say so many ignorant things to me about being from the South Side, and it always made me mad. But I'm also like, looking back, I'm like, well, there's only one form of representation that you see in the media when it comes to the South Side of Chicago. So if that's what your association is with it, then that's all you're going to know, so it's like it's almost like people just need to be more open minded, and they need to be able to like get outside of their comfort zone to realize that there is a lot more out there that like you just don't know and understand.
Yeah, because my neighborhood looked exactly like Portage Park. Same diversity level as well. Like my neighborhood actually on the South Side was pretty diverse, and I'm super lucky to have grown up at that time because I had like a Pakistani neighbor, had a Korean neighborhood, Black neighbors, white neighbors, like, and we all used to play together, Hispanic neighbors. It was awesome. And I went to school with a lot of them. So I had like the privilege of being able to grow up like that, and then realizing that a lot of those girls didn't. And that's why I said, I'm like, they just don't know. Like they must just, they just don't understand because they haven't. I think some of them might have moved to the city and maybe things have changed. I don't know, but
You don't know. Did you ever feel playing wise or just at any point in your life, and this was actually a question that a friend of mine brought up to me who was a college softball player. She's mixed, so I wanted to like pick her brain before I talked to you. And I think the term that she used was like microaggression. And she kind of had to explain it to me. So I was like, help better educate me. I don't know what it meant, but she basically was saying that it's the quote unquote, like the angry Black person. So, my question to you is like, did you ever feel that maybe you couldn't express yourself open and honestly for fear of being labeled the angry Black woman?
Of course. Yeah.
How did you go ahead?
I was doing the okey doke and being like, like the funny one, the cool one. Nothing really phases me because that's what was, acceptable. It was acceptability politics. And I didn't realize I was doing that because there was definitely times when I would be upset and I would want to say something, but I wouldn't because I didn't want to have that stigma on me. And I don't think I totally put that all together until later on in life that I was, people pleasing. That's a form of people pleasing. which has, given me a lot of anxiety, honestly, that I'm dealing with now.
I was going to say, did you feel then, like, obviously now you're at a point in your life where you can, kind of look back and reflect. Did you almost feel that maybe you weren't being like true to yourself?
Yeah. At least a part of me, yeah. Not telling people exactly how I felt because I was, afraid of not being liked or being stereotyped or, um, losing friends or being alienated. I didn't want that to happen. So I just kind of kept it real chill and didn't rock the boat because I didn't want to have that experience. And I knew to do that with our team.
That just like makes me so, that like infuriates me for so many reasons. And it's like, here I was, like, I guess this is like me checking my privilege, but like I was a person that like, I don't ever felt like I like bit my tongue. If anything, I think I
You
did
did
the
it.
opposite. I did the opposite. Like, really. Chelsea's
Oh,
like,
like
don't
you never
sugarcoat it,
did
Jenna.
that.
No, but I think, and now I look at myself and like, because I was someone who, was kind of able to express myself the way I truly felt in whatever matter. I'm now at this point in my life where like I am doing a podcast and have a show, and it's, part of that is due to the fact that like I don't have fear of using my voice where, you did. And like it almost makes it makes me think about who are the amazing speakers and writers and reporters and politicians that we don't have in the world because they grew up being too afraid to be labeled the angry Black person.
Mm-hmm. And that's my experience. That's how it's all a coping mechanism to deal with the racism that you might not even be totally aware of when you're that age. And other people weren't like me. And they would talk back, they would, say what's on their mind. And then it would be a gang up immediately. And I think I would see that and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be like her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be pushed off to the side. I'm not trying to have everybody on my back. So, yeah.
All right. So the reason why, oh, not reason why, let me rephrase that. I've kind of titled this show How to Be a Good Teammate. So, I
Yeah.
think, we're talking about your experience, and I've been amazed by how many people have wanted to have these types of conversations, which was a reason also why I wanted to have this conversation. And now my like, let's do like a call to action. Let's actually put, let's not just talk the talk, let's walk the walk with it. So, to me, a team should always be a safe space. And I think, we've been lucky enough to be on teams where they were safe spaces. And being on a team is always, it's about teamwork, it's about love, it's about support. So, my question to you is, how can white teammates better support their Black teammates moving forward now?
I think by, not being judgmental and being more open to learning about their experience and letting them have a voice, um, and encouraging that and knowing that that'll just help them come out of their shell more, relieve some of that anxiety they have pent up about being more open and vulnerable about their experience. Yeah.
What can coaches do to create more supportive environments?
Coaches can, if they hear any of those microaggressions, because they do hear stuff, they can nip it in
Yeah.
the bud instead of just ignoring these problems. And if they see somebody that's, kind of being, I don't know what the word is, that isn't as welcoming to those teammates of a different race, then
Mm-hmm.
they should probably figure out why.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think that like, cause I'm thinking about like, let's just say you and I, like, let's say we're 16 right now and we're going to have club volleyball come, I don't know, when does it start? November. Okay.
Yeah.
And to me, like, this is a conversation that you need to sit down and have with your teammates. So
Yeah.
is it something that maybe is it as simple of a question as asking, like, Chelsea, what is it like being Black, to help better understand people? Because I want to, my goal with this conversation is, like, what are the questions that we can give to adults, to teenagers, to whoever is listening, where they can not feel uncomfortable having this conversation?
I think it's better to ask, with everything going on, how they're doing. Are you
Mm-hmm.
okay? How are you handling this situation? Do you need to talk? Like those kind of open questions. And then people will reveal what they want to share with, those. And that might take some time, but as you develop a friendship, it's easier to kind of, let those emotions and those feelings out to, your teammates, your friends, your coaches. So there needs to be a relationship that feels like it's comfortable. And I think also young Black people, young Black girls, I'm hoping that, through all of this, there is an awakening that they feel comfortable saying to people, hey, that makes me feel uncomfortable, or I want to know why you feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I were talking to young Chelsea, I probably would have asked the girl in the back seat, why are you acting this way? Or I would have asked the girl that was when we were at the little corner store, why would you say that? So we can really get to the root of these problems. It's a dialogue, it's a conversation. And I think by having more honest relationships, asking people how they're doing is the best way to go about it.
Okay.
Developing, really developing friendships.
What questions, maybe in this time right now, do you think aren't being asked that need to be asked and answered?
Let me think on that.
I'll sip some
Like what,
champagne.
in regards to what?
I guess in regards to, like, the racial tension that we're still dealing with as a country and kind of as a world right now. Like, I think that
Mm-hmm. Well,
what's been good about this is there is more conversation. There are these tough conversations that are being had. But do you think, from your perspective and your point of view, that maybe we're missing questions? People are, like, missing the obvious question that needs to be asked.
I'm not sure if we're missing questions, but this is a difficult time um, for our country, in history. I think that a lot of Black people, I know, like myself, like I said, it was a deep and um, solemn time for me when it all first happened with the Amy Cooper, with George Floyd. It was just back to back to back. And all of that is trauma for Black people. And I know myself, I am tired of watching Black people being brutalized. I'm sick of it, because that's my dad, that's my uncle, that's my brother, that's me. And so what we need to realize is that um, Black people are hurting right now. And some of us are trying to figure out a way to maneuver and in this new environment where we feel more comfortable saying to people and speaking up for ourselves about our emotions and our feelings. And we're not trying to make people feel comfortable anymore by guarding our own feelings. And that's super important at this point. I know for myself and a lot of other Black people, for their mental health especially, it's really difficult to keep trying to not be your entire self to protect others' feelings. And you're doing this all the time, and sometimes you don't even realize it. And then you're having all this built up energy within yourself, and it's really toxic. So,
to me, when everything happened, you know, there were so many people that were like, you know, I felt like so many people were like, this isn't a new story. It's just like enough is enough now. And as like silly as this sounds to compare it to, because again, I'm like, I feel like I had to like dumb everything down to like explain this to people, but I was like, imagine being moving in with your significant other. Let's just say it's a man, okay? Because we're women, okay? We'll talk about that. And you can't stand your man leaving his dirty chonies on the floor right next to the bucket of laundry. And you say it to him over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then one day you just fucking snap.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks at you like, why are you angry? It's like, why do you think I'm angry? And again, I know it's not like the best comparison, but like, it's like, when is enough enough? Like, seriously, like, people, wake up, wake up. And I hate that it's had to come to this, to like, one, it makes me so sad that like you had to like hold your voice back for so long. I think that's the thing that like angers me the most, is that like you didn't feel like you could be authentic Chelsea your entire life for fears of the labels that were going to be thrown at you. And no one should feel that way. And I hope that moving forward, you know, we're able to just look at people as people and not as Chelsea the black person, but as like Chelsea the person. Like, yes, acknowledging that you are black, but also acknowledging the fact that like you're a human being. And to me, that you as my teammate and as my friend, I always saw you as my friend, and you just happen to be black, you know? So it's like, I understand that now we have to, it's like we need to address it and we need to acknowledge it, but like, let's, you know, let's keep moving. Let's just keep making progress and keep moving forward and keep having these really tough conversations that I hope can help, you know, a young kid have this conversation with a teammate where maybe they want to say something, but they don't know what to say, you know?
I think having like these open discussions and just being vulnerable is good, and it helps to give people better perspective. And I hope that, you know, people are using their empathy skills and putting themselves in other people's shoes so that they can have a better understanding of why something might make somebody else feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, literally take yourself out of like your mind and, you know, walk a day in your friend's shoes. Okay, so, oh my God, this is funny. Why do you keep doing this to me? Every next
What?
question that we have literally ends on what we say. This is so funny. And the question is, if you were in my shoes, what question would you want me to ask you?
If I were in your shoes, what would I ask myself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So if the roles were reversed, if you were interviewing you, what
Okay.
question
I
would
were
you want to make
interviewing
sure?
you. I mean me. I'd want to know why it took. No. I want to know how did I like how, because I can't even remember how I managed to just embed myself in these groups pretty easily. I'd say. I mean, you would be able to better tell than me. Like when I was on the team, did you feel like I gelled with the team, or did I stick out like a sore thumb?
I mean, I just remember, this might sound weird, but like, I just always remember being super hyper aware when there was like only one black person in the room, or like only one Hispanic person in the room, or like only one Chinese person in the room. And I think this comes back to me being like extremely empathetic, but I always wanted to make sure that whoever that person was felt welcomed and felt comfortable. So I guess to answer your question, like, yeah, I think, you know, you did stick out like a sore thumb. I also think I stuck out like a sore thumb because like I didn't gel with a lot of people, you know, like I was just really weird, you know, and
That was
maybe
weird too.
yeah, I think, you know, like I feel like
It
I
was
was
the
always with
2000s.
you. I really do. Well, 2000s were a weird time, let's be honest. Like NSYNC broke up, like things weren't great in the world.
Everything was goth.
Yeah, so okay, so that's the question then. How did you said how did you feel you gelled?
Yeah.
So
Does that make sense?
no, it does. It's like you were, I guess maybe the question would be like how did, because okay, words aren't working right now. Let's try this again. It almost seems like you were able to put on different Chelsea hats in certain places.
Mhm.
So when you put on your Chelsea volleyball hat, um, and then you had down your Chelsea, you know, normal Chelsea hat or, you know, your Chelsea school hat or whatever it was, then you were able to gel in. So again though, it makes me angry that like people didn't get to see like authentic you, and that is a disservice to the world.
But I mean, that's just how the beginning of my life went. And yes, it is unfortunate, but it's at least on a positive note, a good thing that I am starting to grow past that past trauma, I'm going to call that, and be more authentic with myself and with other people. And thank you, therapy.
I can't suggest therapy enough.
Girl, I was there today, so.
Oh God. Okay, so now what does how do I want to phrase this? Because I actually didn't write this down. You just kind of made me think of it. What I guess what does life maybe look like for you moving forward, you know, with everything that's kind of happened?
Oh, I love this question. That's another thing that I was thinking about after the racial awakening. That's what I'm going to call it, because I was like, I'm about to lose some friends because I was at the point, like you said, where I was fed up. I'm done, and I'm over people playing devil's advocate with me about, you know, situations that happen to Black people. And I'm over people apologizing for others or the all lives mattering me. I'm done with it. So if they are not with this movement, then they can not be a part of my life, because my life is one of those at stake. You can't say that it's not true, because look at Breonna Taylor, literally the same age as me.
So, I know it's kind of a sour note, but again, you led into what? No, but like Chelsea, you keep leading into my next thing. So, on every bar talk, we always end on a toast. So, if you will raise your glass with me, everyone who is listening, who is watching, we are going to end on the words of Martin Luther King Jr. And he says, in the end, we will not, he says, we will remember not the words of our enemy, but the silence of our friends. So I know it is uncomfortable right now to ask, but ask your friends how they are doing, because they will remember that so much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh wait, I'm just gonna chug it. Who am I kidding?
This is good. I'm glad I got this one.
Yeah, me too. Ooh, bubbles going inside of me. It feels so nice.